Hey, Tanchikia. Derrick Whiteskycloud. My name is Derrick Whiteskycloud, folks, and welcome to Metis Matters Radio on 100.5 FM. And I said, hello, how are you? I'm actually trying to talk a little more Michif if we need to, because I've been getting a lot of people actually telling me, if we're supposed to be doing a cultural program, then how come we're not speaking some of your language? Well, I'm trying. So, I'm going to get it done. I'm going to get it done, folks. So here we are. Yes, we're here. Welcome to the Facebook chat room as well in the studio. Big shout out to everybody, and also good friends of family up in Alberta, the northern Alberta region, up in Sucker Creek and Drift Pile and those areas. I got good family and friends up there, and big shout out to all you guys. This is going to be one heck of a show. Today we're going to be talking about the Veterans Day. Basically, Remembrance Day is coming up pretty quick here on November the 10th, and I was actually at the powwow this past weekend. I was part of the Veterans Powwow, and I carried the Métis flag in honor of the Métis veterans, and it was a really good turnout, lots of people. And it's wonderful to be included, because it is rare. Not too often the Métis are actually in grand entries. There are some people who follow different kind of protocols, and they'll say, "Well, we're not going to carry flags in. We're just going to those who are head dancers, that sort of thing." Some of the protocol. I grew up with powwows when I was a kid, since I was 5 years old. So I wasn't just being Métis. I was, I could say, immersed into it as a child growing up in Manitoba. Because Manitoba, we were part of it, and it was a lot of fun to learn to be who you are. And then through the years later on, as I grew up, when I left Manitoba, I wasn't around powwows hard at all. I was grew up as more like a farm kid, and then through the years, I got back into it again. So I've gotten more involved in the community, working with a lot of people, and whether it's from music media straight up to here I are, talk radio. So we are here, CFRO 100.5 FM. This is here at the beautiful downtown Vancouver. It's colder today. I know that because people are saying, "Ooh, it's chilly." It's chilly. Even Mark is feeling it. He feels chilly. He thinks he's in another country. He's chilly. So, anyways.
We're in Russia now.
Yeah, we're yeah, you're too Russian, eh?
Don't start with the Russian jokes again.
We won't go there. But also, a lot of your listeners may understand that last year we lost, our good friend Ken Fisher, who used to actually run Metis Matters Radio since 1989, and he passed away this past December. It'll be almost a year coming up that I'll be part of this radio program. And a lot of people may not have realized, but Ken himself actually was a veteran. And he served in the Navy. And he also, he never really talked about it much. He kept his mouth shut, didn't say too much until he decided to accept his, his service. And that was probably the last 3 or 4 years before he crossed over. And it was... he used to pick on a lot of the other guys. Like, he knew his training, but he used to pick on Bob Kelly and Alan Drone, a lot of the guys that were part of the military, veterans that have also served. All these men knew of each other. So, but Ken used to always get kind of, play a joke or try to play a joke on Bob Kelly. Bob Kelly get really upset, and then sometimes people that we would, they always had a few words to share back and forth, because Bob Kelly was a peacekeeper, and the late Bob Kelly, because he passed away this year as well, this past summer. But Alan Duron is still here. These are the men that I've actually worked with, and I was very fortunate that Bob Kelly and Alan Duron and two other veterans carry 4 rings, and these rings were, I guess to say, they knew each other as a team, or best friends for many years. And before Bob passed away, he gave me this one particular ring, a ring of responsibility, and that was to be responsible to bring in the flags, and to also to make sure that the veterans are never forgotten in the grand entry. And my job, I'm actually a member of the BC Aboriginal Veterans Association, and so they gave me the responsibility, or told me that I have the responsibility to make sure that all the veterans are to be in the grand entries, or to be called into the grand entry, never to be forgotten, because sometimes some people who don't always follow all protocols in powwows or gatherings. So my job is to call them in to make sure that they're recognized. And so I accepted the responsibility, and I've been doing this for quite a long time. So it was wonderful to see Mr. Alan Duran, our good friend who also served, that was there, our good friend, and many other veterans that showed up this past weekend. We did our actually second annual Veterans Powwow, and that was actually the Chief Joe Matthias Center here in North Vancouver. It was wonderful. There were a lot of people that were there. Great turnout. It was on a Saturday and Sunday. So we're looking forward to being part of it more quite a lot, and I enjoy it. Also, coming this weekend too is Louis Riel event, and that'll be happening with Yvonne Chartrand will be involved in this, and that's actually done with Vinnie Dancy. They're going to be putting that on the event for celebrating Louis Riel. So again, they're also going to be celebrating the Veterans Day. And the interesting part, what I want to share with folks, is there's a song called Pittance of Time. There's a fellow whose name is well known. His name is, he may be related to Bob, but his name is Terry Kelly. And Terry actually wrote a song, I'd say maybe 5 or so years ago. I don't know the year, but he wrote a song regarding to honor the veterans. It was called Pittance of Time. And I would like to share that song and this video actually for you folks. And it's quite the video. If you ever do see it on YouTube, it's called Pittance of Time by Terry Kelly, and here's that song.
They fought and some died for their homeland. They fought and some died, now it's our land. Look at his little child, there's no fear in her eyes. Could he not show respect for other dads who have died? Take 2 minutes, would you mind? It's a pittance of time for the boys and the girls who went over. In peace may they rest, may we never forget why they died. It's a pittance of time. God forgive me for wanting to strike him. Give me strength so as not to be like him. My heart pounds in my breast, fingers pressed to my lips. My throat wants to bawl out, my tongue barely resists. But 2 minutes I will bide. It's a pittance of time for the boys and the girls who went over. In peace may they rest, may we never forget why they died. It's a pittance of time. And poems of the heroes at home. They have casualties, battles, and fears of their own. There's a price to be paid if you go, if you stay. Freedom's fought for and won in numerous ways. Take 2 minutes, would you mind? It's a pittance of time for the boys and the girls all over. May we never forget our young become vets at the end of the line. It's a pittance of time. It takes courage to fight in your own war. It takes courage to fight someone else's war. Our peacekeepers tell of their own living hell. They bring hope to foreign lands that hate mongers can't kill. Take 2 minutes, would you mind? It's a pittance of time for the boys and the girls who go over. In peacetime our best still don battle dress and lay their lives on the line. It's a pittance of time. In peace may they rest, lest we forget why they died. Take a pittance of time.
CFRO 100.5 FM, Pittance of Time. That is Mr. Terry Kelly. It's a wonderful song. Actually, I didn't find this song. A good friend of mine whose husband served in the Navy many years ago, she found the song, and we used to use it in our church. And so every year I would make a wreath for her. And the wreath I would make out of the cedar, and then I did a nice little banner part in front of it and all that, and we would use that in the church service, and then I'd bring in the flags, and then we would honor all the veterans that have served as well as crossed over and or are serving now. So it's a wonderful thing. I want to make this an ongoing, yearly thing for everyone. But most people don't realize. I mean, it was actually a great struggle that I remember Bob Kelly telling me a long time ago that so many years the veterans, Indigenous veterans, were never acknowledged by the military or by the government, not military, by the government, and they had a wall for everybody else but them. And so basically what happened was that I was given this wonderful, little form regarding information. It's called veterans.gc.ca, and there was actually a column regarding the Canadian veterans and remembers them as well, Indigenous veterans. The First Nations, Metis, and Inuit people of Canada have a long and proud tradition of military service to our country. And while exact statistics are difficult to determine, the rate of Indigenous participation in Canada's military efforts over the years has been impressive. And these determined volunteers were often often forced to overcome many challenges to serve in uniform, from learning a new language and adapting to cultural differences, and to having to travel great distances from their remote communities just to enlist. Now, back in the First World War, raged from 1914 to 1918, and more than 4,000 Indigenous people served in uniform during the conflict. And it was men and women, not just men, women and women. And it was a remarkable response in some areas, and 1 in 3 able-bodied men would volunteer. Indeed, some communities, such as the Head of the Lake Band in British Columbia, saw every man between 20 and 35 years of age enlist, and Indigenous recruits joined up for a variety of reasons, from seeking employment or adventure to wanting to uphold a tradition that had seen their ancestors fight alongside the British in earlier military efforts like the War of 1812 and the South African War. Now, many Indigenous men brought valuable skills with them, and when they joined the military, patience, stealth, and marksmanship were well-honed traits for those who have come from communities where hunting was a cornerstone of daily life. And these attributes helped many of these soldiers become successful snipers and military sharpshooters and Renaissance scouts. men who stealthily gathered information on enemy positions. Indigenous soldiers earned at least 50 decorations for bravery during the war. Now, there's a fellow by the name of Henry Louis Norwest, a Métis from Alberta, and one of the most famous snipers of the entire Canadian Corps, held a divisional sniping record of 115 fatal shots and was awarded the Military Medal and Bar for his courage under fire. And Francis Pegamagbo, an Ojibwe from Ontario, was another elite sniper and would be one of the very few Canadians to receive a military medal with 2 bars from his repeated heroic acts during the conflict. Now, I've met Henry Norwest's granddaughter many years ago, and she lives here up in White Rock somewhere. Edith Anderson Montour, a young woman from the Six Nations Grand River Reserve in Ontario, served in a different way. In 1917, this nurse, who had been working in the United States, went overseas to help the sick and the wounded in an American military hospital in France. And she later spoke of the destruction that she had witnessed, and she would walk right over to where there had been fighting, and it was a terrible sight. Buildings in rubble, trees burnt, spent shells all over the place, and the whole towns were blown up. Now, during the Second World War, erupted in September 1939, many Indigenous people again answered the call of duty and joined the military. By March 1940, more than 100 of them had volunteered, and by the end of the conflict in 1945, over 3,000 First Nations members, as well as an unknown number of Métis, Inuit, and other Indigenous recruits had served in uniform, and while some did see action with the Royal Canadian Navy and Royal Canadian Air Force, most would serve in the Canadian Army. Now, while Indigenous soldiers again served as snipers and scouts, and as they had during the First World War, they also took on interesting new roles during this conflict. Now, one unique example was being a code talker. Yes, men like Charles Checker Tompkins of Alberta translated sensitive radio messages into Cree, so they would not be understood if they were intercepted by the enemy. Another Cree-speaking code talker would then translate the received messages back into English so they could be understood by the intended recipients. The Germans never did know how to understand the language. Indigenous service members would receive numerous decorations for bravery during the war, and Willard Bolduc, an Ojibwe airman from Ontario, earned the Distinguished Flying Cross for his brave actions as an air gunner during bombing raids over occupied Europe. Huron Brandt, a Mohawk from Ontario, earned the military medal for his courage while fighting in Sicily. Indigenous people also contributed to the war effort on the home front, and they donated large amounts of money, clothing, and food to worthy causes, and also granted the use of portions of their reserved lands to allow for the construction of new airports, rifle ranges, and defense installations. The special efforts of First Nations communities in Ontario, Manitoba, and British Columbia were also recognized with the awarding of British Empire Medal to acknowledge their great contributions. The Korean War erupted in Far East in 1950, and several hundred Indigenous people would serve Canada in a uniform during the conflict, and many of them had seen action in the Second World War, which had only come to an end 5 years earlier. And this return to serve in Korea would see some of these brave individuals expanding on their previous duties and their ways. Tommy Prince, an Ojibwe from Manitoba, served with the Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry in Korea. He would draw upon his extensive infantry experience in the Second World War with mission like a snatch patrol raid. Prince was second in command of the rifle platoon and led a group of men into an enemy camp where they captured 2 machine guns. He also took part in the bitter battle of Kapyong in April 1951, which saw his battalion subsequently awarded the United States Presidential Unit Citation for its distinguished service, and a rare honor for a non-American force. And I've met some of the Prince family here in Vancouver last year, as well as to know them all. Post-war years, Indigenous men and women have continued to proudly serve in uniform in the post-war years, as well as like so many of those who have pursued a life in the military. they have been deployed wherever they had been needed. From NATO duties in Europe during the Cold War to service with the United Nations and other multinational peace support operations in dozens of countries around the world. In more recent years, many Indigenous Canadian Armed Forces members saw hazardous duty in Afghanistan and during our country's 2001 to 2014 military efforts in that war-torn land. Closer to home, Indigenous military personnel have filed a wide variety of roles, including serving with the Canadian Rangers. And this group of Army reservists in active predominantly in the north, as well as on remote stretches of our east and west coasts. The Rangers use their intimate knowledge of the land there to help maintain a national military presence in these difficult-to-reach areas, monitoring the coastlines and assisting in local rescue operations. The story of Indigenous service in the First and Second World War, the Korean and later Canadian Armed Forces efforts, is a proud one. And while exact numbers are elusive, has been estimated that as many as 12,000 First Nations, as well as Metis and Inuit served in the great conflicts of the 20th century, with at least 500 of them sadly losing their lives. This rich heritage had been recognized in many ways, and names given to several Royal Canadian Navy warships over the years, like the HMS Iroquois and Cayuga and Huron, are just as one indication of our country's lasting respect for the contributions of Indigenous peoples. This long tradition of military service is also commemorated with the striking National Aboriginal Veterans Monument in Ottawa. And this deeply symbolic memorial features a large bronze eagle at its top, with 4 men and women from the different Indigenous groups from across Canada immediately below: a wolf, a bear, a bison, and a caribou. Powerful animals that represent spiritual guides which have long been seen by the Indigenous cultures as important to the military success. Look out for each other's corner. Remembrance ceremonies are held at this special monument, including on National Aboriginal Veterans Day, which is observed each year on November the 8th. The Canada Remembers program of Veterans Affairs Canada encourages all Canadians to learn about the sacrifices and achievements made by those who have served and continue to serve, and during times of war and peace, as well as invites Canadians to become involved in remembrance activities that will help preserve their legacy for future generations, and to learn more about the role played by Indigenous people in our country's military efforts over the past years. And please go to the website, the Veterans Affairs Canada. And if you ever want to find out more about the Indigenous veterans, just go to veterans, veterans.gc.ca. There are people in the chat room, Facebook chat rooms, actually saying that Tommy Prince actually is related to the family, and like my strength or my support goes with you, and or my heart goes with all of you out there and your listeners. We have so many relatives. My father was serving as well. He served in the military camp Shiloh in Manitoba. My uncle Dave was serving as a helicopter pilot and stationed in Portage-la Prairie. And there was so many other. I almost served, but my father was. I don't know. I wanted to say I wanted to serve, but I learned more from my father. He was more strict than probably being in the military. He said, if you join the military, you got to cut all your hair off and get rid of get rid of your cowboy boots and take off your earrings and shave your face, and you got to be just that. And I know, I couldn't do it. I understand growing up with it, but it's something that's really hard to do. But I have been around the military life all my life as a kid. Like I said, around my father, but also I used to go to the bases all the time. Manitoba is one of the most commonly used military bases, and a lot of people now that are not living on the bases are they're buying those little houses. In the winter season, like your houses are square boxes, and they last you forever and ever and ever. And we've, it's important that we do remember all of our relatives that have served. And the reason why it's important because, our country has always been free. And my mother always taught me something. She says that when she taught me something when I was, actually shared a story with me when I was a kid. My grandmother and my mother used to make wool socks. Used to always keep on knitting wool socks for the veterans or for the soldiers. And during the Second World War, I don't know how much money they spent on wool, but they kept on making lots and lots and lots of socks. And then they don't know who the socks go to. They just sent them out. And the military, what they would do is once they receive them, they would distribute these socks out to whomever, whichever officer wants them. But people were donating their efforts from behind the lines. And or say out here, the civilians were doing as much as they possibly can to conserve. In Canada, it was a little different. Like everybody made an effort to make things and do things for the soldiers. So, like I said, I've been around it all my life, and one thing I want to share with you, but I'll tell you the story after. I want to play a song here because there's a really cool song cool story I want to share with you that it's never been done before and that probably never will be again. But we're going to be playing a song here, and I'm going to say, let's see here. You know what? I'm going to do this here. I'm going to do Jimmy's Breakdown, J.J. LaValle, because this is honoring his grandfather, and I'm sure many of you will love this. J.J. LaValle. Derrick Whiteskycloud. I am your host every Wednesday night from 5 to 6 p.m. for Metis Matters Radio, where we discuss why Metis matters and the worldwide matters of Metis people. From the past to the present, every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. on Vancouver's Co-op Radio, CFRO 100.5 FM.
It starts back then, in the summer's end, and the nights are warm and skies are blue. I see you at a party. I mean, I know you, but hardly. Party clears, and now it's just me and you. Now these nights, it's the same routine, a different day. Seems like I still fall in love a different way. But now when I think of you, oh, I see baby blue skies on a summer's night. But I know I did this right. And we started talking. Next thing I know, we're alone and we're walking at the park just down the street. Closer, 'cause the night's almost over, and in the middle is where we both meet. Now these nights, it's the same routine, a different day, but seems like I still fall in love a different way. Now when I think of you, oh, I see baby blue, yeah, skies on a summer's night. Oh, no, I can't plan perfectly, but I know I did this right. I see baby blue, baby blue skies. Oh, no, I can't plan perfection, baby, but I know I did this right. Oh, no, I see baby blue, yeah. I see baby blue skies, yeah. Oh, no, I can't plan perfection, baby. skies on a summer's night. Whoa, no, I can't plan perfection, babe, but I know I did this right. I see baby blue.
Do you want to play this funny promo before we start?
Go ahead.
We are not owned by the Emperor, so we can say the Emperor has no clothes.
Vancouver Cooperative Radio, CFRO 100.5 FM.
We're not owned by big corporations, so we can tell you that the Emperor has no clothes.
Yeah. I wonder who that emperor is actually in the studio. That last song actually was a good friend of our young man. His name is Quinn Pickering. He's one of the most wonderful, I guess you'd say, singer, songwriter, and also musician. And he's his new CD is called Baby Blue, and his name is Quinn Pickering. If you want to get one of his CDs, folks, you can actually contact him, quinnpickering.org. That's QUINNPIC Pickering, Picker, ING.org, quinnpickering.org, and you can actually, his new CD is called Baby Blue. That's what I wanted to share with you folks. And
was that the title track?
The title track, yeah,
Okay.
Baby Blue, and it's really cool. And also on the back of it, I mean, here's some of the songs that really, some of the titles are pretty cool. What Would You Say? Miss the Way, Here We Go Again, Used to This, Yes, Foolish Love, About You, Stolen Rose, Cecilia, as well as Baby Blue. So he's got 10 tracks, and not bad. And also the backup guys are, let's see, guitars, vocals, Braden Williams, lead guitar, Gabriel, watch me screw up his name, Regehr, it's actually Regehr, sounds, maybe it could be Russian, I don't know. Keys and sax, and Ben Boardman is the bass, and Eden Stasiak in drums. And so the CD is really nice. It's guys, they're doing a really good job on it. So, and they've actually played at the Roxy and they played a few other places already. So these guys are, becoming an even bigger hit. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing Quinn really kick it up a notch. So, again, I want to also remind everybody this week it's also where did I put it? Where did I put it away? Stupid me, I did. I did put it away. Shoot me.
Cleared up too well.
Yeah, I'm cleaning up so fast. November the 10th, Vinny Dancy is putting on their performance, and that is be held at the Annex, 823 Seymour Street in Vancouver. Yvonne Chartrand, the Louis Riel Métis dancers, Andre Menard will be there. Wonderful Andre Menard. JJ Lavelli band will be there. If you want to get tickets, folks, students are $20, adults are $24, and including seniors are actually students, seniors, and children under 12. Children under 12 are $20. Should be children over 12, not under 12. Any children that are over 12, you don't have to do it. I don't know. It's supposed to be children. It's supposed to be children over 12. I guess is $20 with the students and senior. So it should be children under 12 free, maybe. I don't know. I could be wrong. We'll check. We'll find out. You have to phone them up and ask them. And you want to contact them, 604-358-7435, 604-358-7435, or Vinny, VNIDANSI.ca. This evening presentation will honor Louis Riel, an inspiration for the resilience of the Métis Nation, and will celebrate the vitality of the contemporary Métis culture. These guys are always doing fabulous. I mean, last week I had Yvonne Chartrand in the studio, and we had a lot of fun having her here, and we were talking about so many places that she's been playing and dancing, and she actually was one of the Canadian Canadian jigging champion a long time ago. So she's actually well known. Also coming up too during a Remembrance Day is FRAFCA, another Friendship Center in Surrey, as the Fraser Region Aboriginal Friendship Center is putting on an event. It's the third annual fundraising gala. It's called Guiding Youth Home. And tickets are $60. Our table of 8 folks is $400. Many youth struggle with transition into adulthood on their own. Currently, there are very few options for them to receive help they need. Providing a supportive home space and services can be life-changing. Together, we can make this goal a reality. So if you want to contact them. It's 604-996-9602, and the person to contact is Kayla Baines, 996-9602, area code 604. And it's held in Surrey at the Area, ARIA, Banquet Hall and Convention Center, just off Petula Bridge, 12350 up in Surrey. So if you guys are interested in to be part of that, give them a call, be part of it, just to join in. There's so many events that are happening now. It's getting, you know what? Here's the thing. Halloween just finished. Yes, Halloween just finished. And now all of a sudden, we're going to Christmas. Christmas is coming.
Even before Remembrance Day, that's just awful.
I know. They keep talking
I've seen
about
Christmas before Halloween. It's that bad now.
Yeah, well, you know what's crazy? You go to a Halloween, or you go to a store, and you see a whole bunch of Halloween stuff for sale, and they got Christmas stuff for sale at the same time. Mm-hmm. Now, are we supposed to dress up as Santa Claus with bloody face, or how that works?
Half Santa Claus, half Jack-o'-lantern or something?
Yeah. We're going to half and half. Oh, that's
talk about crass.
Is that Métis half and half? No, okay. Oh, Métis Santa.
Hey.
Yeah. There's actually a song about that too, by the way. I'll be singing that song to you guys later on. Yeah, I got to kick it at Vivian in the chat room. She's going, shh.
It's not half a boy and half a man. That's a good song, too.
Yeah, half a boy,
Nick
half
Lowe.
a man. Oh, okay. Now, to let everybody know, I want to tell you guys my story. Back in 2005, another good friend of ours who passed away. Her name is Teresa Dion. And her and I guess all the elders, the veterans, were actually sitting down and were saying, the Métis don't have their flag. I mean, yes, Louis Riel actually did be in a battle in the past in Manitoba. There was a battle, and these men were soldiers, and they fought for the right of being Métis and the Métis land, protecting it. So they're considered, as far as we're concerned, they're considered as soldiers as well. They lost their lives. So I came up with the idea of why can't we carry our Métis flag in the color guard with the rest of the other soldiers, the rest of other veterans that served. And they thought it was a great idea. So we approached the Legion, and the Legion sat us down and said, okay, here's what you do. We'll let you, and we'll try it out. We'll let you guys carry the Métis flag in, but it has to be a veteran. Okay? Teresa Dion was going to carry it in. I'm her second. That means that if by some chance she can't make it or can't do it, then I'm her second. So basically, I would have to carry it in. Now, I never expected it. I dressed up in my own time period clothing at the time when this all took place. And so the grand entry started, and then Teresa got a phone call. She says, oh, we need you down at the Legion, the other Legion, which there was one in Surrey, one in Langley, or not Langley? No, White Rock. We need you in White Rock. We need you up here to do a grand entry. One of the veterans didn't make it. He's in the hospital. We need you up here. Can you do that? Teresa said, okay, let me think about this first real quick. Just give me a minute. So I guess her thought about it. She says, okay, Derrick. She come up to me. She says, Derrick, you're going to be a second. She says, I got to go to White Rock. They need me now. Oh, okay. Okay, guess what I'll do. So I carried, for the very first time, probably be the last time, I don't know, but that year in the Surrey Legion, I was the very first Métis who carried the Métis flag with the color guard for Remembrance Day. And it's never been done since then. And we were making arrangements that we can do it again, but nothing was confirmed. But we did it once, and I would never forget that day. I carried great pride and honor of my father and my uncle and all the people that I knew that were Métis, because having to carry your Métis flag with a color guard, and these are veterans that I'm walking with, okay? This is totally phenomenal. And it was raining and it was storming outside. We walked those 3 square blocks, and it was cold, but I was warm. I was wearing my regalia, I was wearing my capote, and I didn't mind. And I guess one of the veterans, when we're standing outside while they're doing the ceremonies, after we finished doing our walk, the 3 square blocks back to the location, one of the veterans was standing outside in the rain. I guess somehow he came down with pneumonia after. So, I mean, that was heart-wrenching, not wanting to. I felt so bad because, you still have to stay in position. You can't just move off the ground. You can't move, so it's important that we, I had to stay where I was. I had to behave myself and keep my mouth shut, just listen. But other than that, it was good. I mean, I was very proud of what I had done for myself. I was hoping that Teresa would be proud of me, and she was, and everybody was. And they said, Derrick, you did phenomenal. And it tore me apart having to think that maybe I wasn't doing a good enough job. And they said, no, you did fine. So, it's important that we need to be recognized as a Métis people. And I think it's very important, if by some chance it ever comes up again, that any Métis veterans that actually had served should consider talking to the Legion and see if they can carry our Métis flag in the color guard, because it is one of the serving flags that flew long before the Union Jack, 150 years before the Union Jack, and it was part of Lower Canada at the time when there was a Dominion. So that's my opinion, and if you guys want to say anything or let me know what your thoughts are, I'd love to hear from you. Whether it's a blue flag, whether it's a red flag, Métis flag, I don't care as long as it's a Métis flag. And because I'm going to get comments from one guy that I'm letting you know who it is. He knows who he is. He keeps on saying that the red flag was the battle flag, not the blue flag. So I'm letting you know I heard you, and I've seen your writings over and over and over. So I don't mind what you say. So it's I'd rather have people strongly support what we do, who we are, and so no problem. Okay. I'm okay. Anyways, we're going to throw another song in, and let's see here. What's new on the snoo? Okay, I got one here. Let's see. Let's go Darren Lavalley, Maple Sugar and Rubber Dolly. We're going to do 2 songs in one. This is Darren Lavalley, Maple Sugar and Rubber Dolly.
means non-commercial, listener-powered community radio. 100.5 means music, public affairs,
I have a dream,
and arts programming.
I wish I loved the human race. I wish I loved its city face.
You won't find anywhere else on the radio dial. 100.5 is not owned by a huge corporation. We are owned and operated by people like you, by your community. 100.5 CFRO Vancouver Cooperative Radio. Find our complete program schedule at coopradio.org.
Oh, back.
Yeah, we're back. CFRO 100.5 FM, Metis Matters Radio. Yes, I am Derrick Whiteskycloud, and in the studio here, I got my great producer, good friend, Mark. He's sitting there across the room. He goes like, "When do I push the button?"
I did push the button. You kind of. I'm going to pause dramatically here.
Yeah, ta-da, ta-da. Yeah, pause. What we're going to do, folks, is we're going to be playing a song to honor the veterans. And we'll be closing pretty soon here. So I want to thank everybody for listening in. But there's a song I want to share with you. We're going to play that song from, we'll make it our background music, and we'll bring it forward as I'm doing a little bit of a speech. So the song I'm going to be playing for you folks is called Amazing Grace. And to let you all know, more than 110,000 men and women died so that we may live in peace and freedom today. And today, taking an active role to remember these people, along with the veterans, our Indigenous veterans, and all those who crossed over, who experienced the hardships of war, military conflict, and peace efforts, is one way of saying thank you. Thanks, guys.